Good evening.
Hi, my name's Emily Spenson. I'm the Deputy Supervisor, and sitting in for Aileen Rohr tonight, the Supervisor. She's on vacation this week. And Ken Schneider, as many of you know, is your Ward 4 Councilman. Tonight's meeting is an informational meeting for residents to learn more about the proposal from the Anderson Center and to ask your questions directly to them. Because this is not a regular town board meeting, in order to stay in compliance with the open meetings law, we couldn't have more than 2 town board members here, but I do know that all the other board members will be watching the video of this meeting, as will the supervisor. She's only away this week. She set this meeting up and she'll be back for Monday, so she'll be watching the meeting as well. I wanted to just briefly go over the town's limited role in this process. New York state law recognizes the need for supervised home-like settings for people with disabilities, and therefore the state limits the municipality's input into the placement of group homes. The default is for the municipality to agree to the placement. The only options that we have for objecting are to suggest alternate locations or to demonstrate that the proposed location would result in a concentration of group homes that would alter the character of the community. So the town board is gathering information along with all of you, including this presentation, and feedback from residents to determine what action we should take. As you probably know, there are plenty of other group homes in the community that have not caused problems. There's one in my neighborhood, but of course every situation is different, so we want to hear from all of you and learn more about the specifics of the proposal. You'll probably be glad to know we did receive an extension, thanks to Patrick for taking care of that, so that the deadline now for the town's response is September 23rd. That gives all of us just a little bit more breathing room to figure out the next steps. So the purpose of this meeting is to allow the Anderson Center and Taconic DDRO to provide everyone with information on the proposal and to answer your questions. So they'll be presenting, then we'll have questions and answers. If the residents would like to make comments to the full town board, there will be a comment period at the town board meeting this coming Monday, the 22nd, at 7 p.m., same time, same place, right here. If you do have questions for the town board, Ken and I don't want to just take guesses at them tonight. So the best thing for you to do if you have questions for the town board is to email them to the supervisor. Her email address is on your agenda, so you should just email them directly to her, and then if there are questions she needs the town attorney to look at, she'll have a chance to do that, so we'll be prepared with answers on Monday night at the town board meeting so that we can give you accurate information. I'm sorry? It's on the agenda?
We'll give you
Yeah, it's aroar@hydeparkny.us, and it's printed right on that agenda. And if a further meeting is needed after Monday's town board meeting, in order for the town board to take action, that meeting would be determined on Monday. But now that we have till September 23rd, we have a little bit more time, and there are town board meetings in September, so it gives everyone a chance to figure out the next steps. I did want to mention, just so everyone knows, that this meeting is being recorded and it'll be on YouTube, so if anyone wasn't able to make it, they can watch it. And our thanks to the media committee for coming in on a night that's not their usual night to make that happen. So I'll turn it over to Ken.
Thank you for all being here. It's a very important issue for all you residents, and this kind of came upon us fairly quick, and it's a learning process for us as we go along as well. We have Patrick here from the Anderson Center. We have Kathleen from DDRO.
No, I'm from Anderson.
Oh, Anderson as well, I'm sorry. And we also have Sean here as well that will answer a lot of your questions, and if they don't have answers, I'm sure they'll be more than happy to get back and get you the proper answers. I think the best forum for tonight, we'll let Anderson go over the process. This is not the first time that they have done this in neighborhoods and communities. And maybe we'll just turn this around, and then if you guys have questions, come on up, so that way you're in the mic, so that way we can have it recorded, and that way you can go onto YouTube and review any of the questions or concerns that you hear here tonight. I think will probably be the best forum for that. Other than that, I will turn it over to Patrick and his team here, and we'll go from there.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm Patrick Paul, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Anderson Center for Autism.
I've worked at Anderson, actually been associated with Anderson since 1994, and I've actually worked for them full-time since about 2000. We are a local employer, as many of you know. We have a campus in Statsburg, New York. We have about 800 employees in 3 counties. We have 22 group homes, similar to the one that we're proposing in Connelly. We are focused on autism. We have children and adults that we serve. We are currently provide consultation to school districts. We have a clinic, and we really focus our expertise only on autism. In fact, we are the largest organization in the state of New York which is focused on serving children and adults with autism. And if any of you want to come by our campus and have a tour and a visit, we invite every single one of you. We love showing the campus. And I think that if you go there, you'll really learn a lot about what we do. We can also bring you to our houses that we already have, and we'd be happy to show you those. We also have 3 lifelong learning centers, and 1 in Ulster and 2 in Dutchess, and we'd love to show you that also. This specific residence that we're looking at developing is for 5 men, and they're in their late 30s and early 40s. This is unusual residence for us, because normally what we end up doing is we have graduates who come off our campus and we put residences into the community. This is a completely different case. The individuals that we're proposing for the Connelly Drive house actually live in the community now. They've lived in the community for 16 years on Indikill. They are very used to being around in the community. They have jobs, volunteer opportunities. They go to our day program. So these individuals are people who have a 16-year history in the community, on a residential street, and we've been kind of going back and forth trying to figure out when the last complaint actually came about that had to do with either the house or the residents or the staff, and I've only come up with 2 in the last 16 years. The one was, I think, a fishing incident, and maybe Sean, you can talk a little bit about that.
Well, we share, one of the houses shares a lake with some neighbors, and the neighbor had come by and noted that he had recently stocked a lake and wanted to make sure that we didn't fish and take his fish, which we assured him that we weren't fishing his fish, but that was it. That was actually the one encounter we had with a neighbor, and it went well.
Yeah. And the second one was the pond that's obviously next door to us overflows. It's not our pond, but it ran down the driveway, and it kind of really swamped the neighbor's property. And I don't know what our obligation there was, but we did do the work on our property to change the direction of the water in order for it to go into a town culvert. These young men are many of them have physical impairments. The reason why we're moving the house is because 2 of them have visual impairments, and currently the house that's on Inderkill, all the bedrooms are upstairs, and it's very dangerous and unsafe for these young men to try to navigate the stairs. And Connelly Drive house, we have 2 bedrooms on the first floor, and so it really is about safety, and we're going to make 2 bedrooms on the first floor. It's really about safety and quality of life for these individuals. And like I said, these folks have been in the community for 16 years, and you probably see them at the store. You probably see them possibly doing some volunteer work in the town. We volunteer at the Baptist home. Baptist home. We do a lot of work with food banks, the Culinary Institute. So these folks are around. They're here already, and they've been Hyde Park residences for a long time. And I think that if you went to knock on the doors on Indikill, they would say that we've been great neighbors. And in fact, some of the guys, when the snowstorms come, they actually get out there and they help shovel the driveways of some of the folks who have a difficulty doing that. So this is for us, this is a completely different situation. These folks are in Hyde Park and they're in the community. So I don't know if anybody has any questions. I'm sure you do. So we want to give you as much information as we possibly can. And even after this, I believe my information is on the sheet here, and I'd be happy to talk to you about any issue you might have. And like I said, we're always open for you folks to come take a tour, to see a house, to see one of our lifelong learning centers, and to come see our campus and learn more about us.
Well, we can do it this way. If you guys don't want to step up to the dais, I'm sure there's a lot of residents here, and I know I received quite a few emails. So now is the time to, really ask any questions, concerns, for it, against it. Now is the time to really voice your concerns. So who would like to speak?
I'm just wondering, what's the relationship between, I know we have folks here from Taconic DDRO and Anderson, and forgive my ignorance, I don't know how the two of you interrelate, so maybe you could just go over that for us.
Hi, I'm Janine Sisko. I'm the Deputy Director at the Taconic Regional Office. Our office is in Poughkeepsie, and we oversee agencies such as Anderson. We're the state oversight agency, and we're here to support this proposal. Anderson is a stellar agency. Their reputation is certainly national, I think even international. They have programs where they train their staff to work specifically with students and adults that have autism. So we're here to support this proposal. We provide oversight. We certify their programs. So we provide visits to make sure they're meeting all the regulations, health, safety, and so that everyone is being supported in the safest and richest environment that they can be. And I have two other people from the DDRO. Linda Diaz is an administrator, and Mark Smith is a site developer, and he oversees the search and identification of properties and the funding of them.
Pat, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I'm the first one. I just wanted to ask the gentleman, you're the site coordinator. The house that's in our neighborhood is a two-story. They said they're going to put 2 bedrooms on the bottom floor. You didn't find any single-level homes that would be appropriate for this house?
Not throughout Not throughout our search at this point. We didn't find anything that worked for the agency and the individuals. This one will be able to actually design 2 bedrooms, an ADA bathroom, and easy access in case of fire, ramps to the outside.
So how many other homes were looked at?
Dozens.
More than dozens. We're always looking at housing, so I don't know how many, but there could be 20, 30, 40.
Patrick, a couple questions that came my way would be, you purchase a home, how long do you hold on to the homes? Have you ever sold a home? What happens to the home after the residents move on, or whatever the situation is? So maybe if you can maybe enlighten that.
We at Anderson have never sold a house. Usually once we, it's the home of these individuals, and they usually stay in there as long as they can stay there. And as time goes on, they may need to move out to some higher level of care, a nursing home, like anyone else, and we would probably have someone else go there. But yeah, these are their homes for forever, for as long as they're around.
Great. Hold on one second.
Just curious, what happened with Enderkill? Why did you leave?
Well, Enderkill is going to be repurposed for an existing group home, so we're going to be
From our school.
graduates from our school. So.
Sure. Can you talk about the ratio of residents to staff, what their typical hours are in turnover? And I asked that question in relation to the traffic impact in the neighborhood.
Sure, we typically will, our ratio is 3 adults to 1 staff, but we typically operate with 3 to 4 staff on duty throughout the day. There's 3 shifts. First shift typically runs 8 to 4, and then there's a second shift that runs 3 to 11, and then we have the overnight, which is 11 o'clock at night till 9 in the morning. So there's some there's some staff coming and going during the hours. Typically 9 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. There's going to be some traffic, and then 11 o'clock at night is the final change of shift. And we have 2 overnights that will be awake because it's a 24-hour supervised house.
Sorry, and just as a follow-up to that, are there larger vehicles that are necessary? Like what are?
Each house has 1 van. There's 1 larger. It's bigger than a minivan. It's kind of an extended cab van. Other than that, everybody, we don't use any other bigger vehicles than that.
It'd just be the staff
Yeah,
vehicle.
it will be the staff vehicles, and our maintenance staff have larger vans when they come in during off hours to do work in the house or fix up, but there's nothing bigger than a van.
Okay, my next question, this would be for the gentleman who does site selection. The mental health law was written to both protect neighborhoods from being overcrowded with group homes and to prevent group homes from creating a community of group homes. This particular location will be less than 1 mile from a very similar group home. It will be about slightly over, almost 2 miles. It's under 2 miles from a home on Fallkill Road. It's 2.5 from your Enderkill home. It's 3.6 from a few others. I didn't even look at the ones in Clinton because technically we're supposed to remain in Hyde Park. But this particular location at 55 Connelly is less than 1 mile, basically the same neighborhood as Statsburg House that is operated by Greystone. The traffic of both staffs coming and going will have an impact on an intersection that already has major problems. I'm not sure if you're aware of all the issues that have surrounded where Connelly Drive dumps out onto 9G. We're still working on that with Central Hudson to get telephone poles moved. There have been many occasions where our kids could not get out to school buses because of accidents that happened either at the intersection, slightly north of, or slightly south of. What would, has all this been looked at when you choose a site? Because looking at maps and looking at homes for sale, there are a lot of community residences clustered up in Statsburg, and yet there are none down in the village of Hyde Park. There are none down in the southern part of Hyde Park. So it would almost seem that a cluster is being created in the northern part of the county, northern part of the town in general, and Statsburg in particular.
I don't see that we viewed it that way. I understand your concerns about traffic. I really don't see where 3 or 4 vehicles on that road 3 different times of the day is going to really change traffic patterns for folks coming and going in shifts. And again, we look at a lot of different things when we look for a home. There's just a ton of things that come into consideration, the folks' needs, septic. That's always a huge, you say, well, there's spots in town. Well, they may not have the physical square footage. They may not have the parking available for staff. They may not have the ability as in regards to septic capabilities. So there's a lot of things that we look at.
Okay, could you address the fact that you are clustering within there will be 3 homes within a 2-mile radius? There will be 5 or 6 within a 3 to 4 mile radius. That seems to be a cluster. I do have a map that shows where the homes are located and shows where we had a realtor look at comparable homes with comparable acreage, not in all cases, but in many cases, in the southern part of the town of Hyde Park where there are no community residences at all. The law is supposed to protect the developmentally disabled from being clustered in an area and creating an area of just developmentally disabled homes. They are supposed to be scattered throughout your township. Clearly in Hyde Park, they are not scattered.
You're absolutely right that the law does protect that right, and it defines saturation is really the word that's used, and it defines that as changing the nature or character of a neighborhood. And so when looking at Connelly Drive, that is definitely a distinct neighborhood. It's a beautiful winding road that goes up and around and has many beautiful homes on it. I visited it last night. And it is certainly a distinctly different neighborhood than the home that Greystone operates. So saturation is not defined by the number of homes in any one municipality. It's not defined by the distance of one home from another. And so Anderson actually included, I think, a 2-page list of all of the specific things that they required when they were looking for the home, and the home on Connelly Drive fits that description, so that's why it was identified. And so just to be clear about the town's, where did you go? There you are. The town's role in this, there are 3 options that the town can exercise.
Correct. I think we have all read them. They can
Okay.
turn you down.
So you
They could approve you right out.
That's correct.
They can offer you alternative locations.
That's correct. So when you
Right.
say that you have looked with realtors at other homes that you believe would be
Right.
comparable, it is within the town's purview to offer those homes as alternates, and then Anderson and the DDRO would be obligated to review those homes to
Okay.
see if they would be suitable. So the alternates must be presented by the municipality.
Correct.
Not by any
They
of
are.
its constituents, but by the municipality. And so if you offer alternates, then they would be reviewed. And if none of those are found to be suitable and documented as such, then you would have another 15 days to offer another set of alternates. Now, and the same process would ensue. If one of those alternates is a perfect home, and Anderson says, this one's great, thank you so much for finding it, then site selection's over. So the neighbors in that particular neighborhood would not have the opportunity to come to the town and voice their concerns. Site selection would be over. So that's a choice that the municipality would have to exercise. And then the third option, as you know, is to object based on saturation.
Right.
And it is on the onus of the municipality to prove saturation.
Yes, I understand that. Speaking as a parent of a developmentally disabled adult who has been in community residences, both as an adolescent and an adult, not in this county, I have not seen a saturation rate like there is in Hyde Park, in Statsburg, and also in the school district. Orange County, where my daughter had resided and still resides, has their homes much more spread out through community, which I believe was Senator Padovan's intent when he wrote this bill, was that they would be spread out among
The Padovan law was actually written so that it can apply to the entire state of New York.
Correct.
So certainly saturation in Manhattan is a different definition than it would be saturation, here. So saturation here, I would define, so that you can relate to it, the residents of Connelly Drive, as if we were to develop a home on 55 Connelly and then develop a home across the street, maybe 4 houses down.
There you go.
Sorry, that just seems very vague to me. I mean, that's your definition of saturation. Is there some sort of official definition of what that means?
You can read it in the case law.
That we were provided?
I don't know if they were provided the case law. Were they? Yeah.
My name is Richard Whale, and I have some very, very serious concerns about this. First of all, home values. Have these homes impacted on the value of homes in the communities?
My understanding is there was a study that was done, and probably Janine has better information, that showed that there was no impact on home values. But I don't have the particulars of that.
The second thing that concerns me tremendously.
You wanted to finish because she can probably give you a little more information.
Yeah, there were studies done, none recently, but in the beginning of the whole notion of people not living in institutions, there were many studies done because at that time it was a very new concept for communities to accept people into their communities with developmental disabilities. So there were studies done. I can provide those to you. I will tell one anecdotal story, and that is it was in Ulster County. There was a piece of property, a vacant land, and there were some homes in the area, and an agency purchased the land and built a beautiful home. and the value of the homes near that home actually went up. So that's probably a very isolated incident, but I'd like to tell that story.
The second concern I have is safety. My wife works in the Spectrum for Autistic Services in Kingston. And let me tell you something. There's one word to describe that place. It's dangerous. People have had broken noses, fingers ripped out. My wife is spit on. She's bitten a number of times. Are the residents up in this area can be anything like this? I realize the spectrum goes from age 3 to 12, and you're talking about people who are in their 30s and 40s. But is there any tendency on the part of these people to be anything like that? And if so, we don't want them. It's as simple as that.
Well, I'll let Sean answer the question. He's known these young men for many, many years.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, these 5 men, I mean, again, 2 of them are very site limited. I mean, they need staff with them pretty much all the time to help them get around. So they have very minimal behaviors at all. They can barely see. And the other 3 individuals, we have minimal behaviors and minimal medications that they're on. In fact, these 5 have been very stable for the entire time they've been with our program.
But how long are these 5 people going to be there? A year, 3 years, 6 months, a month?
Well,
and then there's a turnover, and who knows what's coming?
They're in their 30s. I mean, we would like to think they'll be there for the next 40 or 50 years, to be frank. I mean, they're not the oldest we serve. But, I mean, they'll be there as long as they can.
And the supervision, can you guarantee that the supervision is going to be 24/7 and there's not going to be walking out of there? Because kids walk out of the place over there in Kingston. They walk out and they're chasing them in places like that.
Yeah.
So if you can say that, oh, well and good, but I'm not sure I believe you.
No, I agree with you. We've had situations, but not with these 5 men. I can trust you.
Yeah, but who's coming after these 5 men who was coming?
Well, these men have been at the current house they've been at for 16 years. I think maybe one person has ever moved, and they moved from one house to another, and our whole, out of the 22 hours that we have, only happened once. These folks will most likely, because there are no guarantees in life, they'll most likely be there for a good 30 or 40 years. And like, you have all the neighbors there, and you might have a great neighbor for a while, and then they move out. Our folks don't move out very often. I mean, usually it's some physical reason, something's happened where they need another level of service. These folks are going to be there. They're going to be very stable, and these young men have a history of not presenting themselves. Look, we know what the spectrum is, and we have some folks who are extremely challenging. These are not those folks. These are not those folks. And I can't say that there won't be an occasion where something may happen. Oh, sorry. I can't say there won't be an occasion where something will happen, but, no one can give any guarantees about anything. I've had, in my own experience, I've had neighbors that weren't the best neighbors in the world, and there were always issues all the time. And, there was nobody to call, and there was nobody who was going to address that issue. We are responsive to issues. We are responsive to the neighbors. The one thing we want to do is always be known as a good neighbor. And so if you call us up, and if it's something that we can work with you on in order to meet your needs, so that you're satisfied, we will go and do that, similar to the pond issue, which really wasn't our issue, but at the same point in time, we wanted to be good neighbors. So, and we know Spectrum Services very well. We have 138 children who, many of them are extremely challenging. That's not these men.
Well, anyway, it's just a point that the people in this room should keep in mind. Do they ever walk the roads by themselves, or they're always supervised? Do they take walks? Are they out there on the road where we, as the residents for 15 and 20 years, will see these people?
They're always supervised, and particularly at Connelly, with that road, I would say that more likely than not, they wouldn't be walking on that road just because of the visibility issues. I mean, there's other parks, there's other places they can go in the area. We typically will utilize the community for that type of stuff. I wouldn't say they would never be on the road, but knowing Connelly, I don't think it's necessarily a safe place to be walking on the side.
Have you ever had incidences where these people have gone on their own, disappeared, or they've been out there by themselves and with no supervision?
Not with these men, no.
But the possibility exists that these men die or move on. Do you have other replacements may come in and?
Well, we would always look to keep a peer group. So obviously, if these men, we wouldn't put a younger adult in there or somebody that wouldn't match with them well. 2 of them are actually medically involved, so we have to be very careful about who we put in with those men. So it's not just somebody, just a random person we would put in there. We'd have to put a lot of thought into it.
You were saying these gentlemen work within the community or volunteer. So are they coming and going throughout the day? I mean, how do they get about?
Sure. Well, Monday through Friday, they go to the day program or vocational sites, and that's 9 o'clock in the morning till 3. So we have staff coming in the morning that transport them to their site. So between 9 and 3 on Monday through Friday, there wouldn't be anybody at the home. Possibly the manager or a nurse would be there. And then they're transported back via van to the home around 3 or 3:30. So their staff are transporting them to everywhere they go.
Okay.
Well, there will be, again, they're at the change of shifts, 3 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, there's going to be.
Yeah, one of my concerns as well is for the safety of the residents, you know, on the street itself. I'm a big walker, you know, they'll see me, you know, we're a big hello neighborhood. If there's an issue, which there are a lot of issues at that intersection, and as we've spoken with the town and Central Hudson and trying to rectify that, you know, that's a concern for me, for you to put a home there. You know, I would like to make sure that they're in a safe environment. And the curvy road, you know, people are racing in and out to go to work, as your people will as well. You know, it's a definite concern from a safety perspective. And if you were to look at these other homes, you know, I would hope that you would look for alternate ways to come in and out. If they need to get an emergency vehicle in and there's an accident, as you said, we don't know what the future holds. I would really be upset if they were not able to get the help that they needed. So that would be one of my primary concerns with this site, is that I think that you could find a site that would provide more safety for them and availability to services. So, and for your people coming and going as well.
Hold on one second.
Thank you, Mr. Schneider. My name is Todd Bender. I'm a Statsburg Fire Commissioner. After hearing that it was going to be 5 gentlemen from Enderkill, I just checked with my assistant chief to see about call volume to Enderkill. We've had no calls there, unlike the main campus, which we really need to work on, because I'm running with volunteers and we don't have enough. But what my request will be is, if Connelly Drive is chosen or another residence in the district of the Statsburg Fire District, I'd like the opportunity for my line officers to come in and at least learn the layouts of the house prior to occupying. And if you're going to occupy first and then remodel, please give us the opportunity to see it both before and after.
And I appreciate you saying that, because there really are no call. There can always be one, but I'm telling you, these young men are very stable. They've been in the community for a long time. There's really been no issues. And it's different than a lot of IRAs that we put together. We have some folks who are much more challenged, and these just aren't them. And I think you just proved that out, that there's no service calls up there. No, I understand, but they would go to those. Yeah. Yeah, no, they would go to those. And I'm not saying the first week, let's say this proposal goes through, you know, what happens to us is Murphy's Law. The first week something will happen, and you know, that just happens. But in general, 16 years of experience there, you know, there's not a lot of calls for service there.
I was just meaning medical issues.
No, I know what you mean. Even for medical issues, there's not a lot of calls.
One way in, one way out.
Sure.
It'll be that one day, Murphy's Law, as you said,
Absolutely. But that could happen with any resident.
Not to stop, you know.
That could happen with any residence. I'm sure there's been an ambulance that's gone up that road, a fire truck that's gone up that road, a police have gone up that road for emergencies. And like I said, these are people who, you know, they're somebody's, brother, they're somebody's son, they're somebody.
I will be, you know, happy to go and introduce myself. I mean, that's not the issue.
Mm-hmm.
My issue is that, you know, they're not here individually to speak for themselves, and that if that was one of my family members, I would have the preference for there to be alternate ways to come into a neighborhood and alternate ways to go out, not just one road, and 9G being an exceptionally busy road during many parts of the day. My concern is for the residents, that they have a safe environment, and maybe I'm being a spokesperson for them in stating that if it were my family member, I would prefer a place where they were able to access and exit in multiple, you know, areas. And also the basis of the road is not the safest road, you know, to have a higher volume of traffic. So.
Rob Morris, number 89. I have 3 daughters. They have 3 daughters. Gentleman over here has 2 daughters, under the ages of 16. My question is, I used to work for the town in the highway department. Down in the village, where your main campus is, I used to watch your people walk your patients. Let's just say they're patients, occupants. And what would happen is they would use people's front yards to relieve themselves during their walks. Saw it with my own eyes. Do you really think, in good conscience, would you want anything even remotely to happen like that in front of your daughters, in front of your house?
Well, I'll say one thing. I do have a group home that's in my neighborhood, and I've never seen that happen. I'm not saying it didn't happen. These individuals, like I said, we have a 16-year history. No one's ever complained about them, the complaint that you're saying. I mean, even someone talking about the folks up at Spectrum Services. Look, there's a lot of folks who have autism, and they're all individuals, and they all have individual behaviors, challenges, and abilities. And so we know who these 5 men are. And they're not going to be, I know who they are, and if you knew them and you don't, and all we can do is explain who they are, you would feel differently about them. But like I said, you can't take one person with autism and you can't say everybody's like that. So like I said, yeah, okay.
But you can understand my eyewitness.
I can understand everyone's concerns. I really do, especially when it's unknown and you're not used to working with these individuals. But every one of these individuals is an individual, and they're all different. And like I say, we have a track record, a history with these 16 folks. This is not something we normally do, a 16-year history with these folks. So it's not something that's so much of an unknown. But I'll never sit here and guarantee you that nothing will ever happen, because that's just not, if I told you that, I'd just be lying to you, because I don't know.
But the thing is, right now, I can guarantee you the way our development is, it'll never happen. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I don't understand.
We need to use the microphones.
The way our development is now, the people that occupy our development now, I can guarantee you that incident would never happen.
Okay.
Your people coming in, you can't guarantee me that. Well, you can't. You just said you couldn't.
Well, I didn't say I can't.
And my account is eyewitness. I watched it.
Staff's responsibility.
Yeah, the staff's responsibility to monitor, to make sure that this doesn't happen. But the second piece is that, I live on a road where there's 6 teenage kids down the road, and they have done some things on my road that I would never imagine that I would see. And they have a lot of traffic, and it's a big family, and they're a nice family, but they're teenage kids, and I have seen that before by typical people who have done things like that, and it is very upsetting, and I would not want my daughter to see that. And it is it's a huge problem, all right? And we agree with you, but it's our job to make sure that that doesn't happen. And I'll never say that it will never happen, but I'll say that these young men are really not a threat.
We have another question.
So I just want to touch on about the intersection, how busy that is, and there's been quite a few accidents there, and if that road gets closed, like she said, my neighbor there, that we feel that it would be difficult for safety vehicles to come in there. There's one in and one out, and during rush hour, morning, and in the evening, it's very hard to get in and out of there, and that would be a concern. The other question I have is, how many acres does the Anderson School have down in Statsburg?
We have 100 acres, and I'll answer your question before you ask it. It's illegal for us to put residences such as that. They have to be out in the community.
Yeah, I was just curious because when I looked at your site map, it seemed there was like 24 structures on that 150 acres.
We have. We probably have at least 24, maybe more. Those are filled with children who are on our campus, in a school, in a recreation center, in a village center, So those are for children who, in homes, their houses are there also. So that's what that's for, and we can't have adults residing permanently on our campus.
And why is that?
It's the law.
It's state law?
Yes, it's state law, the federal government also, federal law also. It's just not happen. It doesn't happen anymore. I mean, basically, it's a human rights issue. It's believed by the federal government and the state government that these individuals are people, and they have the right to live in the country, in the county, in the town, and they have the right to live as normal as possible in the community with people who are typical people. And that's as neighbors, and that is the federal policy, and that is the state policy.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Can you go over the process, how far along you are in the process? Is there a signed contract with contingency based on approvals? And who approves this? What are the steps for approving? Is it for the planning board to approve this, or along with the zoning board of appeals?
Well, I can answer. Janine is probably the best person to answer that, but...
You can answer the part about the contract.
All right, yes, we are in contract. There's always contingencies. And yes, we are. We've gotten approvals basically from the state. So that's the status of that.
But for the town of Hyde Park, because
there's no planning board that's involved in this.
Because if you go on to the town of Hyde Park's zoning, section 108, 23.5, there are several requirements that have to be passed, I guess, or approved. So have they
this is
looked at
considered to be a
that?
single residency, just similar to the way you go buy a house. We do the same thing. It's not a facility.
A regulated home?
It's not a facility as defined there.
The home is considered legally a single-family home, so all of the town ordinances and everything would apply. For example, when they do renovations, they have to apply for a permit to do that, just as I would if I owned a home. But it is legally a single-family home. It's not a business. It's not a facility, as Patrick said.
So it's not...
Anything that applies to a single-family residence would apply to this home.
Okay.
So if it is the same as any other family buying a single-family home on Connelly Drive, that would mean our deed restrictions go along with your deed.
Yes.
I don't know about deed restrictions on Connelly.
There are deed restrictions in perpetuity that were written when the road was put in.
Okay.
So your attorney will have to be made aware of that.
I think he is, but...
I'd like...
Are you talking about a specific deed restriction?
Yes.
What is that?
Well...
Goes with the property.
But what, is there something specific? We have deed restrictions on many of our houses. So if there's something specific that you're talking about. Yes, it does, but we have a lot of houses with deed restrictions, and we apply...
Have you seen them yet?
Our attorney reviews them, and so he felt it was fine.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to two things. Ray Harrington, by the way. So we live at 3 Connelly Drive, so we're the corner house right at the intersection, right? So we've had the Greystone, Statsburg residents as our neighbors for 20-some years now. Yeah, right. And by and large, they've been good neighbors, to be honest with you. And I think I speak for most of us when I say that, the residents themselves are not really our biggest concern. I'm not going to say there's been no incidences, but the biggest incidence has been traffic related. You mentioned that, these two residents aren't like together so close that they affect the same neighborhood. They do. And the main reason for that is they are not the corner residents at the intersection, but they are right near the intersection, and traffic backs up in the morning routinely for many minutes because when the bus comes and vehicles come to pick them up, it's not like a school bus, they don't all wait at the same time. They often take many minutes as they come out individually, right? And it backs up to the intersection, which increases the danger of the intersection, right? Now, I mentioned the deed restrictions. My wife mentioned the deed restrictions because the character of the road has been maintained because of basically two things. There's deed restrictions that prevent businesses from coming in, so you can't even drive a vehicle or park a vehicle rather with a logo on the vehicle, for instance, right? It also that and the fact that there's only a single egress ingress into the community limits to a great extent the traffic on the road, okay? So you'll also notice you mentioned that it's a beautiful wine. You'd think you were walking through a state park, and the road is known to the entire neighborhood, not just us, but others in the nearby vicinity as a walking road. People walk there all the time. So any increase in traffic, you can come through any time of the day or night and you'll see people walking the road. Any increase in traffic would be a concern to us. And to say that this is just like another single community or another single family is not true. There's going to be a lot more traffic on the road. And it empties onto the same intersection already impacted by the Greystone home, right? So that is a big concern. A development of this size, we don't even anymore have a legal ingress egress. You could not build this development anymore because we don't have a legal ingress egress. We were backed up many times where you had no access to our road. When Katrina happened, we went for several days with no access to our road. When accidents happen at that intersection, it's one of the most dangerous in the town. Look it up. When accidents happen at that intersection, there's no access. I frequently can't get into my home at night, right? What do you plan to do when there's no ingress and egress into the road and emergency vehicles can't get in?
We also experience emergencies on numerous occasions. We've had houses where our staff buckle in and they stay there. We have generators at all our houses. We have supplies at all our houses. That would not be an unusual circumstance for us. And if there was that sort of situation, we have houses that are way up in Clinton and so on, and they also have problems getting back and forth. But remember that these individuals live in the community. And so we always make sure that the parents are aware of the houses that they live in. They have to approve them. We share with them whatever concerns that we have, and we'll share with them these concerns. And they make the decision. They're their parents, so that's where we end up.
So those are our primary concerns: the traffic impact on the road and that dangerous intersection, and that it will change the character of the neighborhood just because of the extra traffic involved, and it will make our explicit neighborhood the densest community residence area in the entire township of Hyde Park. It's just striking. We'll show you the map. There is nothing in the town center. Why are none of these homes in the town center? It almost looks like a deliberate effort to keep them out of the town center. I'm struck by how many are in Statsburg and nowhere else in the entire town.
You know, as in many communities, the town centers often have smaller homes. I am from Hyde Park. My family has been here for generations, so I'm very well versed in the center of the town. You know, you have your very adorable little Cape Cod houses that are right there in the center of town. And although they're beautiful homes, unfortunately, they don't allow us the square footage that we need. So oftentimes, just as you all have, people have branched out from that town center and created larger homes. And that's, unfortunately, the square footage that we need are in those larger homes. So I understand what you're saying about wanting to be in the town center, and that would be a wonderful thing for us because we would have much more ease of access to some of the services and businesses that we would like our folks to go to. But the fact remains, most of those homes don't have the square footage that we need, along with septic or some of those other infrastructure type issues. I believe you, sir, yes. And again,
just to give you a quick, we look at, if there's a house out there that we think that we can actually develop that makes sense for the individuals, that makes sense with all the regulations, that makes sense with septic. Let me tell you, we struggle to find housing that meets that criteria. It's not something that we just go and see 2 or 3 houses. I mean, we are constantly looking for property. And we probably... We contract with a realtor to do it, and... What?
I'm sorry?
No, we have an agreement with a realtor to be our exclusive person. Well, we have an agreement with them.
We have an agreement with a realtor to go out and look.
I'm sorry, I misspoke.
That poor choice of
Well,
words.
it sounds like, the residents, you looked at some other homes. If you have those homes, please email those to the supervisor. So that way, we can officially, through the town, pass that along. There's laws that we have to abide by as well, that we have to do. So that would be fantastic. I have a question back here. Hold on one second. You want more? I'm sorry.
I'm a New York State licensed real estate broker, and I did do a CMA based on, I actually used the subject that you're waiting to purchase, and I found probably 4 or 5 that would fit, though not knowing exactly what your needs are, just kind of thinking that you would need a decent square footage, you would need some space, you would need some, I guess, some recreational area within the home, and this only comes with my 21 plus years of experience in real estate. So my question to you is, number one, my main concern is this cluster, and my main concern again is the traffic flow. And this comes from living there and living at number 2, which is directly across from number 3, so we witness that traffic. They come around the corner. I've had to report school buses because they come, we walk, they're coming 40 miles an hour down this road. So I'm not at all saying that that's what's going to happen, but if you're saying that you have, I just correct me if I'm wrong, you said for every one person that is a resident, there are 3 people that work, or how does this work? It's the combination?
The opposite, it's,
Okay, so it's 3 to 1, the opposite, okay. So if they're leaving on shifts and such, we're concerned, again, major concern is traffic and major concern is cluster. Now, clustering, just because Connelly Drive is Connelly Drive, it's a loop, it's not necessarily a neighborhood, because if you're defining a neighborhood, you're going to go outside a certain radius. I mean, that Greystone home is definitely part of, if you want to consider it a neighborhood, that's part of our neighborhood. I walk across the street from the side of my property, and I'm at that Greystone home. So, again, it's not the type of home that it is. It's my concern is our traffic pattern where we purchased to be in an area that hopefully, I mean, we've lived in, we've been there, most of us, we were original. So I've been there, she's 25 years. So most of us, 25 years. That development is about that age. So again, it comes back to the clustering. It would be advantageous if you did spread these homes out. I mean, I know that it's something that can be done. I know that in the village of Hyde Park and a little bit south, there are homes that would fit the bill. I found 4 in particular.
Great.
So we'll look at those homes.
It's not to direct you to those homes. That's not at all it. Yeah. It's the fact that what is the best for all concerned. And that's my concern.
And if we, look, if you can show us a house that really works, it seems, I know you're in real estate, but there's something specific about what we are looking for. And like I said, there's a lot of time, energy, and effort in trying to find an appropriate house. And we've probably looked at anything in this area that was appropriate. And we're probably going to be able to tick off most of the ones that we even thought might be appropriate. So we are more than happy to look at whatever you want to give us, and we'd be happy to look at it. There's no problem with that.
We'll get that. We have a question here.
Yes, I just wanted to touch on your staffing and turnover, training. Who else comes to the house? Someone comes to clean, I would imagine. Who else is there? And what is, again, turnover, training, that type of thing? And
well, each house, typically we hire 11 staff for each home. It includes a manager, includes a shift supervisor, the overnight staff, and then the second shift direct care staff. They're all trained CPR, first aid, bloodborne pathogens, mandated reporter, abuse reporting, crisis intervention techniques. Our turnover, we have a very low rate of turnover at this point. Our staff are in charge of cleaning. We don't have a cleaning crew. We have a maintenance crew that may come by once or twice a week to fix issues if there's a plumbing, smaller stuff. We have a nurse who rotates among a few homes that will spend a day or 2 there per week. We have a behavior specialist staff that might come through to help with training of the staff on site. But for the most part, the campus in Statsburg is where a lot of the training takes place. So our staff would be going to Statsburg to do the training on the main campus. And again, food prep, laundry, everything's done on site.
Okay, I have a question for you then. You're talking about trying to find properties that fit the bill for what you're looking for. My family just recently, we were looking for homes for our son, and we did a lot of Trulia, whatever, all the Zillow. When I was looking, there were a lot of foreclosed homes in this area that need work, but they're out there. But the other thing that I found was there's a lot of empty property. There are a lot of lots of land that are open that you could possibly get. Some of them were like between, I'd say $65,000 to maybe $80,000, okay, for the lots of land. Why not look at buying a piece of property? I don't know, let me ask you, what are they offering to pay for this home? What are you offering to pay for this home in our neighborhood? Does anybody have that number?
Trying to remember.
Because when I saw it on...
Let me tell you the way it works. We actually get an appraisal, which is provided to us from the state, and that's the maximum amount that...
Okay, so you have a maximum amount. Can I ask you what that amount is, please?
It just changed in this reason. Do you remember? Three what? 370?
$370,000? So this house was appraised at $370,000. Okay, my point again then. There are lots of land all around Hyde Park right now, Statsburg, Hyde Park, Clinton, that are available. If you truly need a home where you have everything on the first floor, where you need people to live on the first floor, why do you not look? And I understand building a home can take time.
There's a premium to building a home too.
Exactly, but when you said that they built, believe me, I understand that. We know what it costs to build a home.
I built a home too, so I know what it costs.
But my point is, those homes nowadays, you could get a modular home that can go up in 2 months. You could find a lot of land, put a house on that, which specifically fits your needs, where you wouldn't have to go in and repurpose a home. So my question is, with all the property that is available, have you looked at that as a solution instead of taking a home that now you're going to have to go in and repurpose to what you just said? Is that anybody ever looked at that possibility?
Yes, we have looked at that possibility. Look, there's nothing more I'd like to do than to build a home to meet the needs of these individuals. And we could do it ahead of time, and we wouldn't be under time pressure, and so on like this. To tell you the truth, the square footage is so much cheaper to renovate than it is to build.
So I would just like to point something out. I mean, you've brought up several times how tough it is to find homes that suit the criteria. But given the size of the town, which is 37 square miles, and the clustering of them, the existing homes, you'll excuse me for pointing out, it appears to me the biggest selection criteria seems to be proximity to Anderson home, to your school.
No, we actually searched Orange County, excuse me.
I'm just pointing out what's
across the river.
We have the map here, I can show it to you. Okay.
Well, I'm going to tell you where all our homes are.
There are 5 within a few miles of Anderson School.
All right.
And the biggest density would be right in our neighborhood.
Okay. We have homes in Ulster County. We have a home in Orange County. We've been searching Wappingers a great deal. Homes in LaGrange. In fact, if we were to say what we'd really like is to get farther down in southern Dutchess County, but we just have not been able to find a home that was appropriate for the individuals that we were looking to serve.
How about the fact that Hyde Park is a historic town? We have Mills Mansion. We have Vanderbilt's. We have the FDR home. And I don't know if you've ever noticed how many churches we have in Hyde Park. All tax-exempt property. You guys don't pay taxes. You're tax-exempt also.
You're right.
We need another one of those, like we need a hole in the head in this town.
I live in New Paltz.
How about going down to Wappingers Falls?
I live in New Paltz. I know exactly what you're saying. I probably, there's a lot more land that's off the tax rolls and the taxes are through the roof.
What about Wappingers Falls, Fishkill, Columbia County, Ulster County?
We do buy homes in Ulster County.
Where you don't have the volume of tax-exempt property that we have here. We're choking on this stuff.
We have 2 homes in New Paltz. So, I mean, it's an issue, and I don't disagree with you. I have the same issue you do. In the town, there's a lot of tax-exempt property, and the taxes are very high.
Brad Palmer, number 86. So let's just say that Anderson moves forward and gets the property in our neighborhood. What's to prevent another house, if it comes on the market, from being another, I don't want to say target, but another opportunity for Anderson School to come in?
You mean in your
Right
neighborhood?
in our neighborhood. What would prevent that?
They would, let me just say.
We're already
when
talking
we
about
go-
saturation
okay.
and.
When we go, yeah. When we go to look at houses, Anderson, when we go to look at houses, we have to check to make sure, we check with the state to make sure that it's not considered to be a cluster or a concentration. We have to get the clearance before we even move forward on it.
But what is that definition, though? I still haven't heard that definition of what saturation is.
Well, we ask the state what that is, and they're the ones who really make that determination, and then we go with whatever determination they make.
Okay, I have another question about your site selection, which is probably going to be very different from some of the things you've heard. As you might recall, my 27-year-old daughter, who now lives independently. We have 5 kids. She's my second oldest. Okay, so, and many of my neighbors know her because when she was little, she went to local elementary school with their children, and they have fond memories of Mary. She went to an RTF. I know the battle your parents face. I battled because the RTF wanted to ship her out to Utica, New York. I know the battle your parents go through because I fought that battle. I fought that to keep my kid closer to me. I looked at a lot of houses that were offered. There was one perfect one for her as an adolescent. One of the things was the recreation and the ability to walk around the neighborhood. You're telling me that this is the perfect house, even though we feel it's a cluster, but yet you don't want your residents walking around the neighborhood. You're telling me it's not safe for them because of the twists and the turns. If I was a parent and you told me, oh, we found this great house and we're going to move your kid into it, and you said, but she can't walk on this road because it's too dangerous, I would tell you, quite frankly, find another house for my kid. So I have a problem with that you're telling the residents here you want Connelly because it's the perfect house for your residents. And then you state that you think the neighborhood would not be safe for them to walk around with a staff member. You can't have it both ways. It's either perfect or it's not. And I know it's hard to find the perfect home, but don't be telling everybody it's perfect and don't worry, you won't see that. What I'm hearing from you is, don't worry, they're not a danger to you, you're not going to see them. I'm insulted as the parent of a developmentally disabled daughter. Nobody in my neighborhood has been afraid of my child. She comes to visit. They are not afraid of her. They never have been. So if our road is so perfect, why are you afraid then that they can't walk safely on it?
I think the point with this house is there's 2 individuals who are blind. So we would not have them walking on that road. It wouldn't make any sense to stay.
Not with a staff member?
We would put them, there's local parks, there's other places to utilize. That's a concern, it's their safety. They have a huge yard. They would have a huge yard.
Correct.
The concern is with the sight impaired individuals.
My daughter is orthopedically impaired. Sometimes she walks with crutches, sometimes a walker, sometimes independently. And I know that the homes that she was in were very cognizant of that, you know, when it came to emergency exiting and recreation. And I think you need to consider that. I think in fairness to your residents, if you don't think they can participate in the community, then why are you looking at a house in that community? My second thing would be, yes, the Greystone house is in our neighborhood. Our corner is their evacuation point. I don't have a problem with that. I've had the men from that house on my corner. I think, Diane, it was, what, midnight they evacuated one time? Yeah. I don't have a problem with that. They're not a problem. But I fear for the staff when they evacuate because they've got to cross 9G and walk up along it. Not the best place. But that is our neighborhood too. And I think for saturation purposes, you need to consider that. Thank you. You're welcome.
We'll take a couple more questions here if you don't mind.
No problem.
I apologize for going back to this, but I'm having a problem with definitions. So Tad Moss sent us the McKinney Mental Hygiene Law, and like I said, I pulled off the zoning requirements. So you keep saying that this house is going to be defined as a residence,
Single-family residence.
a single-family residence, but the McKinney paper, it's defining it as a community residential facility. What is it? Are they living in a facility that's supervised? Because that's all part of the definition. And our zoning law for the town of Hyde Park includes those terms for the facility in that definition. So are you saying that our zoning laws do not apply to this house if they're in place with the town? I mean, I got them off the website. The McKinney paper describes it as a supervised residential facility. So your residents are going to be in there, they're going to be supervised, there's going to be staffing, but you're saying that's not what this is called.
I'm saying that, based on all the information that I've ever gotten and the 22 homes we've opened up, they're considered to be single-family residences and they're treated as such. Obviously, people have done a lot of research on this. People have put a lot of energy into sometimes trying to stop homes from coming in, and that's never been a basis by which a home has been stopped. And so my understanding is that these are considered to be single-family residences, and that they do not need, it does not apply.
So why do we have these requirements, these
It's for other situations, just not this one.
Just not this one, okay.
Is the home type defined as single-family, or is the residence that, the people that are going to take residence, are they defined as single-family, or are they defined as such that Colleen has stated?
I believe the whole house is considered to be a single.
The house is a single-family residence.
And so it's treated like that.
So is this not called, please forgive me if I'm saying the wrong thing, a group home? What would be the definition? It's a group home that's taken residence in a defined single-family home. Is that, just for clarification? So our zoning is wrong? I don't know.
We'll get you that information. We can get with Tad and our town attorney, we can figure that out as well. Get you that information.
So then I guess my question is a clarification. Is the town giving any special waivers to Anderson School coming and purchasing this home that we have not received ever? And is this $370,000 home being taken off the tax rolls?
It would be taken off the tax rolls, yes, and there is no special concession at all through the town.
Thanks. Hi, Steve Ackerman, 21 Connelly. So I just wanted to make sure I understand who and how many people are going to be coming in and out. So we know about the staff members, 3 shifts, and how many on each shift? Can you say?
Typically, there'll be 2 staff that come in the morning to help with transport to take the individuals to their program, and then the 2 overnight staff would then leave at that time as well. House would be likely empty between 9 and 3, maybe with a manager there doing some paperwork, and then come 3 o'clock, the adults would come back in their van, along with probably 3 to 4 staff that would come in around the same time, around 3 o'clock, 3:30, and then 11 o'clock at night, the second shift would end, and 2 overnight staff would arrive, and then the second shift staff would leave. So the 3 to 4 cars would leave at that time, 2 would come. And then the weekends, it's the same kind of shift change.
So there's going to be overlap, it sounds like, with school buses picking up our kids.
In all likelihood, yeah. I mean, our vans, we would load our vans at the house, so there's not going to be any curbside pickup or anything at all. But yeah, in all likelihood, we'd be leaving the house around 8:45 for programming, Monday through Friday.
And anytime there's a staff change, that means cars leaving and other cars coming in.
Correct.
And then there's a nurse that visits once or twice a week?
Well, I would say once or twice a week, usually during 9 to 5, usually during day hours. They just do paperwork and set up medications and such, but they kind of come and go as necessary.
And would there be other people coming to or from?
Our maintenance department may have a van coming in, just depending if there's any work that needs to be done. That's just dependent on what the house needs. It could be once or twice a week, it could be not at all, just dependent.
And can the residents have people visiting them?
Their families can come and visit, yes.
And they can have other people come too if they'd like. They can have other people come. Most of these individuals are not going to have other folks come other than family.
But my point is, this is classified as a single-family residence, but it's going to have way more traffic impact than any other single-family residence in our community. So you can understand our concern about the traffic impact and the safety issues.
Okay, never mind. You want it? Okay, the one question I want to ask then of Mr. Schneider. Our roads already are 25 years old. They're starting to break up. They're starting to fall apart. All that extra traffic that's going to be coming through now because of this home, if they get it, can the town board actually say to us, well, you know what, we'll maintain your road for you now. We'll make sure that it gets paved. Are you going to pay for that? Are we going to pay for that? Are they going to pay for it? That's a good, valid question because our roads are already starting to crack, fall apart, fold. We've had many, what are those things called? Drains replaced. Sewers, thank you, whatever. We've had them replaced piece by piece because you guys are on a budget. What's going to happen with the extra traffic in our neighborhood? Who's going to maintain our roads?
I mean, I can answer that question. I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, it's.
Who's responsible for maintaining our roads?
Well, of course, our highway department is responsible for maintaining our roads. Like you, I don't like having anything come off the tax rolls. We have, like stated earlier, we have a lot of properties that are already off the tax rolls. That is something that the supervisor and the town board, we would really, we're after the culinary all the time for a pilot program that we can almost never get. Anderson has always been a good partner, but maybe we could ask them for a pilot program, a payment in lieu of taxes. I don't like it as much as you, to be honest with you. I wish that we had a much greater drainage, budget. I wish that we had unlimited amount of money for paving, but we live under the tax cap, which is just about zero this year, and we really try to be fiscally responsible. And I understand your concerns, and that is why we're all here. So I'm with you on that.
Hi, Karen Tobias, number 32. Can you explain your procedures on how you handle the staff if they don't show up for work?
Well, our staff are understood to be mandated. So if a staff didn't show up for shift or called out for a shift, the staff that's on duty has to stay on duty. We cannot leave the house unsupervised. It has to keep with the minimums, which are the minimum of that house would be 2 staff at all times. And those 2 staff have to stay on duty until they're relieved.
And that happens with snowstorms and emergencies all the time.
So we're going to give this about another 5 or 10 minutes. Please remember that Monday the 22nd, we also have a town board meeting where there'll be public comment where you can actually address the supervisor, and our town attorney will also be here. Unfortunately, I will be out of town for business that day, but I will be kept informed as well, and deputy supervisor here as well. But that's a great time as well to come and voice more concerns or questions after this meeting. And like I said, our town attorney will be here that could answer some of those zoning questions as well, to really give you a better definition of what we can and cannot do as well. Any other questions before we wrap this up tonight? Hold on.
Yeah, Paul Cantor, 33 Connelly. What's the responsibility? The board at the next meeting is going to do what? And are they going to take a vote on it, or is it? What's the next steps in this? And is this there's a comment period, or this will be an agenda item on the board? I'm not quite clear.
So what we have right now on Monday's agenda is a public comment period. As I said, all the board members and the supervisor will watch tonight's meeting to find out what your feedback was, and we will have the public comment period on Monday. I don't know if the supervisor will put something on Monday's agenda for a vote, or she may choose to I'm guessing she'll choose to wait and put it on a subsequent agenda so that the board has time to process the comments and do our own research to make sure we understand our abilities and responsibilities. So since we now have until September 23rd, in all likelihood, if there's a vote, it will be on a future board meeting. So Monday, I would just expect to have the public comment. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I know some people came in after I said it, but the town attorney would appreciate if you have questions, if you email them to the supervisor in advance. That way he'll be able to find out the answers and give you the information that you need. So her email address is on the agenda.
Got another question here. Hold on one second.
Just another question regarding the traffic impact. How is like food services brought in or general household supplies? I mean, how do they get to the house?
The individuals would go out shopping, just like you would, with staff to go to the grocery store and get the supplies and come back.
Okay. Yeah, I just wasn't sure if there's like, food truck that comes in for the, all the food supplies and stuff now.
There isn't.
So who makes the final decision? Is it the town, or is it on whether or not the home is appropriate and it opens up and moves forward? Is it the town that decides this?
Well, I think they talked about the three options.
Okay.
Obviously, if there's other properties that you believe would meet our needs better, then we're more than happy to look at them. I mean,
okay, that's good.
So, and then I guess there's another opportunity for that a second time, all right? And
The alternates must be presented by the town supervisor, not individuals in the community. The town supervisor needs to make the decision to present alternates.
Is there a specific time frame that has to be done within?
It has to be done before September 23rd.
Okay.
Question is, do they have to be in Hyde Park?
They have to be within your jurisdiction, yeah.
When are you looking to relocate the Enderkill residents?
well, it would probably be after renovations are done. Yeah, probably late spring. Yeah.
And whoever has compiled that list of other homes, if they can please email that to the supervisor, that way we can pass that along to our town attorney as well, and we can try to compile the direction that we might need to go as well.
And I just want to make one more comment about the alternates. They should be, you should review the fact sheet that Anderson provided, or the town should review that, and the alternates should be equal to those characteristics or better. So in other words, if it's a home, the square footage should be equal, the habitability of the downstairs, the bedroom, the capacity of bedrooms downstairs, the acreage, all of those things should be equal to or better. So that will help you kind of define what a good alternate might be.
Hold on one second. That way we get it on tape here. I know.
When you say equal to, well, Enderkill home, obviously no house is exactly the same.
No.
So equal to the Enderkill home or to
No, equal to the proposed home.
The proposed home.
The Connelly home.
Because, say, for example, there is a home, was it 2 bedrooms on the first floor that you needed?
Yeah.
2? Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for example, maybe they do find a home that has 2 bedrooms on the first floor. I don't know the square footage. Is it around 3,000 square feet or whatever? So if they find one that's, within 200 square feet, I mean, this is a comparable home, correct? Or better. It could be better. Could be better because you're not using the money to make the renovation.
It's hard to answer, sort of generically.
I'm just saying that, it may not be the same square footage, but it may be at a better layout.
It might be close. It might be a little bit
or a
more,
better layout. To
If-
save money.
It might get better.
But may I just say that if you find a home that's better,
Yeah.
we'll take it.
Right.
We have no reason to say, oh no, we have to have this particular house.
No, I
If you
understand.
find one's better, we'll take it. We have no
I'm just
problem.
saying
with that.
for our search purposes,
Sure.
I mean, there's flexibility based on maybe they already have a handicapped bathroom, for example, or wider hallways, or whatever your needs may be. So it doesn't have to be the exact square footage.
Like I said, this is not something that we go and look at 4 or 5 houses and we make a decision. We look at a lot of houses, and it takes a long time to come down to something that we believe is viable.
Mark, maybe you can clarify. I think that this house has been on the development plan for 2 years.
Yes.
So they've been searching for 2 years.
Okay, we have another question here. Hold on one second.
Meg Wittenberg, Connelly Drive, number 7 Connelly Drive. Mr. Paul, you mentioned a couple times this evening that this home was different, and I know it's because you have these 5 individuals that have been together for 16 years, and you see them staying here long term. Can you explain to us, once these residents have moved on, and I see myself being in my home for a long time, what is the norm when you're placing a group of individuals in a home? Because you mentioned a few times tonight that this is very different.
Well, when I was talking about different, I'm talking about history. We have history with these folks in the community. Most of the time, we don't necessarily have history because they're graduating from a residential school. And so we put them out to the community for the first time, and we don't know what's going to, we have an idea, we have behavior plans, we have all these supports put in place, but, we're not really sure, because everybody's an individual and they can react to certain changes, especially folks with autism. Changes are really difficult for them, especially going from a residential school with all the supports into the community. It's a huge change. In this case, these are men who have lived in the community for a long time. We know their history. We know how they react to things, and so that's what I meant about different.
Hold on one second. Let me give you this mic.
So when these gentlemen move on, go to a nursing home, whatever the situation may be, what is the norm when you're selecting the next group of individuals to live?
It's not going to be a group. It's going to be one person at a time, as in most occasions. So we're not going to be able to put somebody in a home with individuals who are visually impaired, have physical impairments, who is going to be a danger or a threat to them. That's the first thing that we'd have to look at. So the population is not going to change, overnight. We're not going to get a new group of folks in there. It's going to be a gradual change. So most likely the residents are not going to change in character that much.
Hold on one second here.
Quick question. I know that you guys have probably driven through the neighborhood, so you know that we all spend a lot of time and money on the upkeep of our home. So I'm just curious, will there be any substantive changes to the exterior of the home? And who's responsible for the lawn, flowers, the exterior sort of landscaping maintenance, just so that the community itself, as we have come to know it, is not compromised aesthetically?
We have a lawn service that'll come out and do the lawn. Many times the residents are involved in putting landscaping out and taking care of landscaping. I would say that we either keep our homes at the standard of the community, and in many places we keep it above.
And the proposal, outside of the ramp that was going to be added, there wasn't going to be any plans to do anything with to change any of the exterior?
No signage or anything?
No signage, no.
No signage.
Hi, Ray Harrington again. A quick question about the search for an alternate. Do we really need to look for a home that's equal or better than the home you found? Don't you have a set of search criteria you're looking for?
I believe there was a fact sheet that was sent out.
What is it exactly you're looking for?
Well, it's difficult to say because, we need a certain number of bedrooms.
Okay.
We need a certain square footage. Obviously, we want as many bedrooms as possible on the first floor. We need the ability to make that. We want a decent piece of land so that the individuals can be out and recreate. We also want some privacy for them also.
I don't want to get into a position where we suggest alternates and you point to the fact that, there's 3 steps instead of 4. And that Jimmy has a...
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something. If you guys find an alternate, I have no problem. This is not about Connelly Drive. It's really about finding an appropriate place for these gentlemen to live.
Okay, and again, so where would we find some semblance of criteria?
I just shared as much as I could, and if you have specific questions, I'll answer them. If you find a house and you send, after you go through the town, if they find a house, we're going to look at it. We're not saying, oh well, we're not going to look. If you find something else, we'll do it. We have no problem with it.
Hi, I have two questions. One is, does equal to the residents that you found mean also able to be similarly renovated, or does it have to be already having the two bedrooms?
It could be renovated.
Similarly renovated, okay.
You know, we get a dollar amount in order to accomplish this. So, and it's per resident.
Okay.
So as long as it falls within that dollar amount, we are perfectly fine as long as it meets the needs of the individuals.
Okay, and my second question was, have you, since finding this one, you've presumably stopped looking?
No, we
You
haven't.
Okay. So if other homes have under your radar come on the market since you've probably...
We are in the process of purchasing 2 homes, one of them here and one of them across the river. In Marlboro.
Okay, but is it specific, are you also specifically looking for the criteria that meet these 5 men?
No, this is a different group of individuals.
Right, exactly. So if there were a house that specifically met the criteria for these 5 men, you might not have found it because you have a different criteria for the other homes.
Yeah, we have a different criteria for that house and the other house we're looking for. So we're always looking for property in order to accommodate the individuals that we serve. So so in this case, you know, this property met the needs of these 5 individuals. And so
Right, no, I understand that. I'm just saying, when you found 55 Connelly Drive, then that met your criteria for these 5 individuals. The next homes that you were looking for were for the criteria specifically for the other individuals you were looking for.
Well, sometimes the criteria is match. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I understand that.
Sometimes one house we could move this group of individuals in, but you know, it's more about the peer group that we're putting together many times, and the needs of those individuals. We're always looking for single floor housing. You know, many of our folks have difficulty in ambulation, visual impairments, and they're aging. And like anybody else, you know, when you age, you don't want, and our folks, we expect to stay in the house for a long time. So if we get a lot of bedrooms on the first floor, they can stay there even longer, so.
Okay, and so I guess my question was mainly, if you are also looking for other things with similar, I mean, if you're saying so much that this home, or that these men are different, how do other homes that you're looking for have the similar criteria? Because there's different individuals, and you keep saying that. I mean, obviously, they're all humans. They all have individual needs.
Maybe I need to
which
clarify.
Is what you're saying. Yeah.
This is we're normally looking for graduates off our campus. This is the first time we're looking for individuals who already live in the community to move them from one place to another. That's what I mean about different. And so if you came to me and we were moving folks off campus, I wouldn't be able to give you as much information about these individuals and how they've been in the community.
Right.
And so that's what I mean about different.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I understand that. What's the what's the minimum square footage that you would need for 5 individuals, for instance? Is there like yeah. I guess that's a specific question.
I know it sounds and it's not a perfect science. So what happens is basically Mark and one of our folks walking through a house, and I'm going to tell you, within 15 or 20 minutes, they'll know that it's a yes
Whether
or
it
no,
would work, yeah.
because they've been doing it for so many years. Our architect comes out, the engineer comes out, and everybody says yes, this one's a go, or no, it's not. We get so many more no's that these guys walk into, a realtor and these guys walk into, they say no right away.
Right.
Within 5 minutes, there's something about it that doesn't work, and whatever that is, it could be something where there's something about water in a particular area.
Right.
The lot's not large enough in order to have 100% replacement of the septic. There's something about something else, and I don't know what it is.
I mean, in this instance, right.
Too much of a hill.
No, I understand, but that's equal danger as like a traffic problem. So my question then is, because, I mean, maybe you weren't aware of the traffic issues, and I mean, I've woken in the middle of the night to cars crashing since I was 2 years old, since I remember it, you know. It is a very dangerous intersection. I mean, my dad has had to go out there and help because emergency crews couldn't get there on time. Like, this has been my life since I was, 1 year old. So I know that this is an issue. So taking that into account, and taking into account then the safety of your residents who are, in some cases, visually impaired, I think after having found this home, since you are not specifically looking for another home that would fit the criteria of these 5 men, could possibly be in a better location. That was my question, was because you stopped when you found this home for these specific men.
Well, that's not, we're looking for homes, these particular men, okay, it's not a science. So
Right.
most likely, there could be, we were looking for other houses too, for other individuals. A lot of times they all fall within the same.
Right.
You know, so we continue to look. We're continuing to look right now.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't stop with one because, you know, we don't know what's going to happen with this house, right? So we're continuing to look. We're not stopping.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
And if you folks come up with an alternative, we'll look at it. And if it works, we'll buy it. And you won't have to hear about anything going on Connelly Drive. But past that, we have to really make sure whatever we're getting in the difference of the other house really meets those same needs and is at the same level.
We're going to take 2 more questions, okay?
Hi, Suzanne Roitze, 72 Connelly Drive. I'm going to kind of address the white elephant in the room. And we've talked a lot about traffic and we've talked about real estate and the property. But has Anderson School ever engaged or entered into a community where perhaps maybe the neighborhood didn't want them? And what did Anderson School to overcome those obstacles or those concerns of the neighborhood community?
We always have an open house. We invite the neighbors. I'm just going to tell you plain and simple. In 3 years, or 2 or 3 years, the neighbors don't even realize we're there anymore. And in most occasions, it's not an issue anymore.
Excuse me a moment. You don't understand the community we live in. We've watched our children grow up. We've been in this community and entered into this relationship in our development knowing that there was privacy. We adhered to deed restrictions. We walk the neighborhood. We celebrate with our neighbors. We have community dinners with our neighborhoods. There's a group of females that go out periodically. There's genuine camaraderie within the community of Connelly Drive. And certainly all of our children have made missteps and have raced their motorcycles too fast or peeled out once or twice, but we all work together as a community. And I think the biggest concern is that we look at this agency or as this group home as perhaps maybe a single family residence that's going to be different than what exists there today. And I think that that's the biggest concern that I have, that I want to know how Anderson School treats or manages these group homes and what they do to ensure that there's good community experience.
Like I said, we have good relationships with the neighbors in our houses. Sometimes things happen, but we try to always work with our neighbors. I would say that if you were to go up and talk to the neighbors of a lot of our group homes, and if you come take a tour and visit, you'll see that the neighbors are good to us and we're good to them. It's nice when you have a neighbor come over and hang out a little bit with the guys, or we're able to go and do something for them just to help out. That's something that we encourage a great deal. And our guys have good relations with people in the community, and they like to see them, and they invite them in. And
The residents or Anderson School has a good relationship?
the residents, I mean,
The residents have good
the residents, they go to the pizza places, they fold boxes, and it's all about. They go to the libraries, they go to the Baptist home, they go, we do a lot of volunteering, and we're invited into a lot of places, the Baptist home, there's always a story about the fact that our guys might not be the best cleaners in the world, but those folks who are there really love to see them every week, because it's somebody that they know, and it's a connection. And so we really push for our folks to have as much connection in the community as possible. And so these are people, they're individuals, they have needs to be part of a community and have somebody they can wave to and say hello to, just like you do, and I mean, they're not typical, but they are people who have the same needs. They just need it in a different way sometimes, and you need to be expressed differently, and you need to work around them a little bit because of some of their challenges. So.
All right, I just have one question. You keep speaking about 2 individuals who are visually impaired. Can you just explain to us about the other three individuals, what their special needs are they ambulatory? I'm just curious as to what their...
Yeah, the other three are ambulatory. They all three have autism and a level of mental retardation. They have behavior plans. Two of the three are on medications, and we've had, again, they're in the community quite a bit. A lot of family involvement, a lot of family visiting, going to see their family. All five of them are quite active, but the three in particular, there's no medical concerns or any issues.
Okay, so just to kind of wrap this up for this evening, again, we have our board meeting this coming Monday, the 22nd at 7 o'clock. We will have time for more public comment. That's, again, the board will be here, our town attorney will be here, Aileen will be here. And if you have any questions or concerns over and beyond this or more questions, really emailing them is a great source for us. So that way we can compile everything, get the answers, and that way we have a whole folder, and we have, instead of pieces, with me or with Emily or with Aileen, we can kind of put them all together, and we can also sit with the agency and attorneys or whatever else we need to do to move forward and have a resolution one way or the other. I want to thank you for your time here. It's been very informative. It's scary for all of us. It's new, it's different. It's this is a close-knit community, as you can see, and it's extremely hard getting residents out to voice concerns. And I'm encouraged to see the residents here tonight, and your voices are strong. And we need to hear them, and we'll do what we can do. So I'll pass this on to Emily, and we'll kind of wrap it up here.
Yeah, just thanks everyone for coming out. Obviously, you really care about your neighborhood and the town, and we appreciate that and hearing from all of you. And thanks to all of our speakers. You do great work in the community, and I appreciate you coming out and really informing people about what's going on. And thanks to all of you also. And as I said before, I've said it a couple times now, but yeah, just please email the questions in advance if you can. If not, just come and ask, and we'll do what we can on Monday night, and then we'll go from there.
If the residents have questions that they would like to ask you guys personally, how would they reach out and contact you?
Yeah, I believe on the sheet here.
Just want to make sure that everyone has that information.
9226, isn't it? That's wrong, right? 9226. The number's wrong, 9226.
Oh, sorry.
9226. I might have sent it to you wrong, I'm not sure, but it's 9226. All right, and you can always email me, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions you have. And like I said, the tour, if you want a tour of a house, or you want a tour of one of our lifelong learning centers, or you want a tour of our campus, we'd love to have you. I think that if you go there and you see, I think it'll give you a different perspective. Yes?
Hold on. Sure. Yeah, names and how to get...
Sean Mackey, SEAN MACKEY.
I'm Kathleen Marshall, Kathleen with a K. Marshall.
Yeah.
2 L's.
Well, great. We're going to wrap this up now. Our media committee, thank you, Herb. It'll actually be up on our YouTube video, so if you need to reference this, hopefully it's clear and precise. You'll be able to pull that off as well. And then again, I encourage you all to come on Monday night for more public comment. So, yeah, thank you very much. Thank you again.
Oh, no worries.